Hello again YouTube, this is Dr. City Heroes, and this is it. This is the final moments for City Heroes. This is obviously the Union server. I'm currently in Atlas Park 2 because Atlas Park 1 is full. So obviously everyone's turned out here to say goodbye. So yeah. One last hurrah, it looks like, by a lot of people. They've been playing through the night, and they've all just descended on Atlas Park. I did manage to get onto Atlas Park 1 on Bishop, just because I've been going through a lot of my characters just to save costumes. But there was a massive characters on the steps of Paragon City Hall, so I managed to take a quick screenshot with Bishop in there. I'm sure other people did. So this is the group of people that's obviously come in but have had to be on Atlas Park 2. So yeah, the message, red name message, just went out about 10 minutes ago to say it's going to be shutting down. So there we go. So give me a chance just basically to say farewell to various people on chat. So yeah, I think really, I mean, everything I ever wanted to say about the game I have done, I hope, in the previous videos. So yeah, it's it will be sorely missed. Saw a little thing actually this morning which was pretty cool. Champions Online's news page actually mentioned about the fact that this game was shutting down, and said, you know, a brief little statement, but was fairly classy in what it said, because I mean, a lot of the people at Cryptic had obviously at one point worked on City Heroes. It was linked to City Heroes at one point. They had originally created it. So it was. I think it was pretty cool of them to actually acknowledge it and say that you know, the superhero MMO was world and genre was going to be less, simply because this game was shutting down. So. So that was pretty cool of them anyway. So just trying to see. I know there was a few of my global friends on. So yeah, they're all on the Atlas Park. So yeah, I think appropriate just to finish it off with my main character as well, 11, I think. So what's he saying about Titan? So he's working with people, making open public service for everyone. It's just a matter of when the new services become. Yeah. Okay, I'll say it when I believe it. Yeah. I was alright with players obviously banding together to try and save the game in some fashion, whether NC Soft would essentially keep it open but just unsupported, or sell the IP to someone that would continue developing it. Whatever, I didn't mind that. But the instances of actually making an entire new game to essentially be the spiritual successor, which is player made, bit dubious about that. If it happens, it happens, and I'll check it out. I'll keep an open mind about it. But there's talk of essentially making private servers. Not really seeing that happening without any legal ramifications, so we say. So yeah, I think a few people have. It's quite simply, a lot of people have also gone a little bit overboard as well in their reactions. But just going to walk through the crowd here. I recognise Dimension Zero actually. A few others I don't recognise. There's a lot of people here I'm not really sure of, but I recognise Bovine Avenger, yeah, the cow man. There we go, someone self-destructed. So yeah, I suppose I might still make videos in the future of footage of games that I'll essentially be moving on to. I'm not really sure. Yes, I could do it and obviously explain, you know, what I like about. But just to mention, I mean, the two obvious games that you've got after City Heroes, which is superhero based, are Champions Online and DC. Now I know I've mentioned Champions a lot during the course of a lot of my character videos. That's probably, out of the two, the likely one I'll play as far as getting a superhero fix. It's obviously not anywhere near what City Heroes was like, but it does have a lot going for it that that does justify, you know, paying subs to it. Essentially, I have been sub most of the time since it came out. There was a period of time where I wasn't, but I've gone back to it in recent times, and it's always something just to jump into when, you know, nothing else. I was getting bored with everything else, and just give it a go. I tend to do it in bursts. They're not very quick on bringing out content as far as, like, you know, missions and whatnot, which is something I'm hoping they can you know, work on. But I think everyone's going to be on the steps here actually, so I'll join them. Obviously going to be taking screens and whatnot. Crack knuckles, I always used to do that with 11. Bit of a martial arts pose there as well going on, so yeah, but there's a lot of champions that you know, I kind of dig and like that they do. The adventure packs are pretty good. That's probably what gave City of the inspiration to do essentially the signature story arcs. So wish they'd bring out a bit more, but you know, they might do anyway. So I know the alert thing's being fairly new, so that's pretty cool. Just being able to jump into a quick mission and whatnot. I do like some of the powers they've got available. Room Sweeper on Bishop's fantastic. Like I say, I actually prefer Ironworks on Champions than I do on City of, actually, because there's like, it's a proper power armor set, so that's pretty good. I like the variety of travel powers they've got going on. So I think the main problem with it is there's no villains, so if you can't really make a villain, some of the animation seems a bit off as well in some cases, and variety of content is a bit, you can't really expect to play like alts a lot really with champions, because there isn't enough varying content to essentially like have things fresh. So if you go through 1 to 40 with one character, you'll essentially do exactly the same thing on another character. With City of, there was that much content that you could get from 1 to 50, particularly on blue side. I don't know about much the red side, but blue side certainly you could go 1 to 50 with 2 different characters and not play through the same missions. So here we go. There's the big red letters. 10 minutes left. So but it's got a lot. It does have a lot going for a champion. So I'll stick at it and give it a go in bursts. DC, just I've reinstalled it recently because a lot of my friends excuse me, I'm just getting stuffed nose again. Been full of cold for the past 2 weeks. I reinstalled DC Online recently because a lot of my mates were playing it again, just to obviously get them trying to find obviously their alternative superhero game. And I love the combat. I mean, the combat's great. It's like pseudo sort of like real-time combat going on. Really nice combat, and some of the attack powers are pretty cool. I do like brawling on Bishop there. I've got 11 going on there as well. The main problem with it though is the lack of powers, essentially, when it comes to your actual superpower. And well, actually no. I mean, there's a lot of powers you can choose, but it's the fact that you can only really load out about 5 at a time, unfortunately, because it's it works on the pad. They've restricted it so that you've only really got 5 powers going at a time, so you could actually unlock a lot of powers, but you might not ever get a chance to use them. So I've made a half decent version level, and he's got all the martial arts powers, and he can throw the odd fireball and generally keep himself alive, but that's about it. Bishop though is horrible. The brawling is excellent, I love that, but if you want to be a tank, you've either got to be fire, earth or ice, and I've took ice, and well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look right that he has to change you into a giant ice golem in order to survive. And you have to take all those ice powers and use them, even one, to essentially keep alive, when essentially I just prefer for him to naturally stand there and just take it, like I do as I have done in City of, and in somewhat to a point in Champions. So yeah, DC unfortunately is going to have to do a lot more to really get me back in, because for one, where they said that you can make the hero villain that you want, it's like, not really. I was able to do it on City of and to an extent Champions, and DC I felt like I was kind of being put on the leash. So there we go. Other than that, the only other one I have been playing out lately is being Star Wars: The Old Republic, and despite the problems that game has, I think there's enough of it to keep me entertained and be sub to it. It recently went free to play, so that might bring people in. They might want to obviously change some of the free to play sort of mentality they've got going, but I think it's got enough going for it to keep on that. So yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, we're coming up the last 5 minutes here, so make sure say all my pieces and whatnot. So that's really essentially all I've got in mind to move on to. If, like I say, there's a spiritual successor, or somehow the IP does get passed on and it continues in some form, then I'll definitely be checking it out. But otherwise, really, as far as, if there's a spiritual successor, fair enough. But otherwise, all I've got for my superhero fixes is Champions, really, and then I've got Old Republic as well to probably blitz through most of the time as an MMO. I may very well just end up going back to my old gaming ways, as I did, really. So, really speaking, so I'm gonna, I think, get my final messages out there in chats. There we go. 5 minutes left. Yeah, so Union Role Players was a group I was with. Corporation OOC was just another one of the RP lot that was more specific chat. Sal's Badge Hunters, I mentioned last night on the videos, where a lot of task forces and whatnot that was done. A lot of good players on there. One out to all broadcast, I think, as well. I think it's safe to say that it's probably up there as one of my favourite games of all time as well, City of. The others may change, as time goes on, but I think this game's probably going to be up there. Like I say, unless we get a CWH2 or a spiritual successor or whatever, that might it might take its spot, but otherwise I think it's definitely up there in the top 10. Probably not my absolute favourite, it must be said. I mean, I suppose I've got other favourites, but yeah, it's definitely up there, and will be greatly missed. I think I'll just do the bow there for everyone, and then I think probably what's appropriate is a small walk away from City Hall. On the off chance that Tenth Doctor reference there. One last pass by of Miss Liberty. walking down the steps of Atlas Park Central area underneath Atlas statue. Seems appropriate. Leave the way you first came in. Most players, when they started, this is where they started at the foot of the steps. Good shot there of the statue in City Hall. It's where you usually had everyone hanging around. So there we go. There'll be a proper farewell message as the video closes out. But otherwise, take care all. This is Dr. Jonas Welsh, and I'll catch you another time.